Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. You know me, I'm Tom. Okay, this is going to be a 2-beer video. So hold on, go grab one yourself. This video is by special request. I've actually had several people ask me about would I do a video and make the topic about money. Okay, now, before we get started, here's mud in your eye. Okay, money. It's one of those items that you can either understand it or you don't understand how money works. I never really had any formal training. As you guys already know, I have no formal education in anything as far as the way schools would teach you about economics, accounting, math. But really when it comes to money or cash or anything like that, investments and things of that nature, those type of topics, those areas, schools, you will learn absolutely nothing in school about money and how it really works. Now you can go look at the Forex market. Now remember, money is global. There's only X amount of dollars, or let's just say X amount of currency in the world. They put that estimate somewhere around, and I could be off on this, about $57 trillion to $65 trillion is in current circulation around the world. Now, you know that's a lot of money. Of course, we're talking about everybody's currency, the dollar, the yen, the peso, the ruble, the list goes on. So, the Deutschmark. You have to understand that education and school will never ever teach you about the stock market. It'll never teach you about bonds, 401ks, cash, credit, revolving debt, asset depreciation. These are things that you will never ever learn in school. Just keep that in mind. Now, I might have a few of you out there will say, well, that's not true, Tom. Once you get into college and you get into a business degree, public administration, business administration, advanced economics, that they're going to teach you about money. And I'm going to say it again. It's not true. They will never, ever be able to teach you about money. Because you have to understand something, and correct me if I'm wrong. Every great scholar, teacher, professor, if they were so smart with money, why are they in a job like a professor that might pay $120,000 to $150,000 a year? Because in reality, they're just going out and stating what they themselves in literature, books, articles, and just practical knowledge is what they're teaching their students. But if you get deep into the thought and philosophy about how money works, cash, how it really works, then you'll understand that, like I said, it's not some place that you can go into a school, a university of any type, and ask a question, I want you to teach me about money. They're going to laugh at you. It's true. Okay, now let's get down to the basics. I'm going to take you in to the start. There's going to be a body of this conversation, and then I'm coming into a conclusion about what money really does. If you want to understand money, you also have to understand debt. Now, in accounting, they will teach you credit, debit, okay? Credit is positive money flow, and debit is negative money flow, is what you owe. So if you are, say, a young man living at home, a young woman living at home, and your father or mother gives you an allowance. Okay, let's just start there with an allowance. Young kids today have no idea the value of money. Let me share a little quick thing. I was at the gas station, Sheiks, where at about this time, 4 o'clock, all the young kids from the local high school, they all gather around outside, so there's a bunch of them everywhere. Excuse me. I was behind this really, really young kid who had a Red Bull. He couldn't have been more than 8 years old, and he had his phone. And the lady says, okay, this is $2.95. And he was going through all these little programs on his phone, and he tried to pay with his phone. Well, after about 4 minutes of me standing behind him, and I can see his phone. I can see the face of his phone. He kept going through these same like little line apps, and when he kept tapping his phone to the computer, the bottom line is he had no money. Okay, there was no money there. He couldn't pay. And then the lady says, do you have any other form of payment? And he goes, no. So let that be a warning to you. Electronic payments are dangerous. Anything that you have on your phone, if it relates to finance, banking, accounting, account numbers, security codes, cash apps, all that stuff, you're out of your mind. Okay? You're out of your mind. You never want to handle money that way, electronically. I know what you're going to say. Convenience. You know what? Money is not supposed to be convenient or easy. Think about that for a second. Why should money be convenient and easy? So you're telling me that if the network went down, the internet went down, and your phone was not usable, that you would have no way of paying people. Okay? Are you starting to see a small point? So now let's get back to the kid living at home, and he gets his allowance. All right, let's say he gets, $5 a week. And the dad says, you have to do 2 things. Take the trash out every day when you get home, and help your mom around the house if she asks you to do so. That's all. Keep your room clean. Just keep your room clean and take out the trash, okay? Now, let's say he does that and he gets his $5 a week, okay? Now, in reality, you would say, okay, well, in 1 month he got $20. Well, you would be wrong. He did not get $20. And you ask yourself, well, what do you mean? And there are 4 weeks in a month? Well, yeah, they are sometimes, but that's not how you calculate it, okay? You calculate that number by 4.33, and that's what he really gets per month over a period of time. Now, let's say he's been on his allowance for 1 year. That would be easy. All you have to do is multiply 5 by 52, and that would give you exactly the dollar amount, okay, that he received as long as he took out the trash and cleaned his room. Now, this is a smart kid, because the kid that I'm talking about is me. But I didn't get an allowance. There was no such thing as allowance. My people were poor. I went out and made that cutting grass and washing cars starting at the age of 9. Now, my thing was, I didn't need anything. All I needed was gasoline for the lawnmower, which the lawnmower was free. And back in those days, all we did was cut grass. There was nothing else to do and rake up. That's it. There were no blowers. There was no edgers. There was no riding lawnmowers. It was a damn old push mower, Murray or whatever, Sears and Roebuck, whatever we had. And they were a pain in the ass, okay? You pushed them, okay? Now, I lived in Panama for 4 years. I started at the age of 9. When we left there, I was almost 13, okay? But at the age of 9, what I did was, is I bought my first bicycle by myself, which at that time was $29. Now, you can do the math, $5 a week until I hit 30 bucks. You got, of course, sales tax, but in those days, the BX, we didn't pay any tax on it, so it was $29.99. You might as well say 30 bucks. So it only took me 6 weeks to buy that bike. Now, all the kids around me wondered, well, it's not your birthday, it's not Christmas, blah, blah, blah. How did you get a brand new bike? And I told everybody, I earned it. Oh, your parents are rich. I said, no, they're not. No, they're not. Okay, now let's move forward. When I was in the military, I was the most broke I have ever been in my life. Okay? This is way before the Reagan pay raise in 82. You know, E1, E2, E3, E4, it didn't matter. I made nothing. And everything that I made was either taxed, we were forced to contribute to a $50 government savings bond, laundry, you know, all the crap that they always made us donate to some bullshit to where they were taking our money. I think they kept us broke on purpose so we couldn't go anywhere. I stayed in the barracks pretty much the entire time I was in the military. I had separate rats when I had a contract marriage, and that gave me some extra money per month. That's why I did the contract marriage, because I think I got, my base pay was $318, and I think it went up to like $465, $475. But for me, that was good. An extra 80 bucks, whatever it was. I took that, and I took it for 4 years. So by the time I got out, I think my top pay was a little over 700 bucks. I can't even remember what my last check was, to be honest with you. I knew then, but you have to remember I'm also investing in Social Security. They're taking all that out, medical, FICA, you know, all the crap that they take out. They hit you for everything. I was noticing that at the end of the pay cycle, which is 1 month, I always use 30 days as a basic guide, especially when I'm working for someone. How much did I make that month? Not what I made that week, but what did I make for the month? And the gross. And then I looked at all the taxes and calculated my percentage of what they were taking out on me. As a single man with not had a household, nothing, no deductions whatsoever, pretty much majority of my life before I got married, the second time, I think they were taking out about 38% of my total check, okay? Which basically kept me poor. So I kept thinking about that a long time. Now, I was in the car industry after I got out. I worked for Honda. I was an advisor. And that first year, I made more money than I ever made in my entire life. In 1980, I went to work for Honda. And I was making then, when minimum wage was like $4.20. I can't even remember. I was in California, in Monterey. And then I started at $11.25 an hour. Hell, I thought I was on top of the world. But remember, the taxes. I thought I was making more, but in reality, I was almost taking home less. I was in a different tax bracket. Okay? Now, back in the day, we used to always talk about, hey, what tax bracket are you in? What tax bracket you were in? Now, the thing I noticed being in the car industry, hold on. Okay, that's beer number one. I'm going to finish beer number two. The video will be over. And I know I could do a 4-beer video on money. I'm just doing some highlights, okay? So we might even do a part 2 one day on this, and I'll kind of leave a hint towards it about the subject matter. But When I was in the car business, I was in a dealership environment. So like I told you in previous videos, I went to every single department in a dealership environment and looked at who got paid what. That was my mission. I wanted to know how much everybody made, all the way down to the owners, okay? I wanted to know who was making the money. Because apparently somebody was making money because there were people driving around Cadillacs, because I worked for also a Cadillac dealership, Honda Cadillac, in 5 High Zinger Plaza, and I seen guys wearing Rolexes, driving nice cars, and had pretty hot women. And I'm like, who are these guys and what kind of work are they doing? And they all work for the dealership. So I couldn't figure it out for the first year or two. Then I started getting smart. I said, well, you know what? I'm just going to go in every single department and interview. I'm just going to interview in every single department and see where that leads me. Well, once I left California in 1982, I came here and I worked for Stuart Olds Nissan. I was a line mechanic because line mechanics in those days, top pay that you could possibly ever make was Master Tech, and that was $20 an hour in 1983, 1984. Okay, 20 bucks an hour in 1984. Think about that. You can't even get people to pay you $15 to $17 an hour, barely $20 an hour here now in 2022. Now, you can't even hardly get $20 an hour pay. So, back in those days, if you could become a master tech, $20 an hour, and you can get the hours out, 40 hours a week, you were making a killing. The mechanics were always driving hot cars. They always had hot-looking wives. All of them. Girlfriends. Then I said, I asked a bunch of the top techs, I said, how long did it take you to become a top tech? And how long did it take you to make $20 an hour? You know what the resounding answer was? 10 years. 10 years. And I said, okay. I went home, I thought about it, and I said, fuck that. I ain't waiting no 10 years, getting all greasy, dirty, and slimy, and come home every day, grease underneath your nails, and all these guys complained about knee problems, back problems. They all complained, okay? So what I did was then I went up to the service department and went up to the advisor, service advisor. And I asked those guys, well, how do you guys get paid? Well, they get paid a flat plus bonuses. And I said, bonuses? I said, what are those? They said, well, we get a flat pay, minimum wage. We work 40 to 50 hours a week. And if we turn X amount of dollars in the shop without any complaints, then we get X amount of bonus every single week in our check. And then at the end of the month, and they don't put it in the check at the end, every week. They put it in at the end of the month. Let's say you got a bonus of $350 because all your ROs were, good, and they hit a dollar amount. Like, let's say you turn $40,000 worth of revenue in that shop in a week, okay, 6 days. And if you consistently do that, then that tier that they paid you, then you would be hitting all these low cash bonuses or these levels to make that extra money. So I said, well, hell. So I took one of the service advisors' check. He showed it to me. I said, look, let's see your end of the month. And he showed it to me. And I said, well, hell, you're making the same as the top tech in the shop as long as you keep your numbers up. And he goes, that's right. And he goes, I don't have to get dirty. And I get to see all the girls when they bring their cars in. The mechanics got to see none of them because they were all in the back, okay? Remember, I was a young man. I wanted to see the girls and have money. So I became a service advisor for damn near 6 years, okay? 6 years. And I worked for Cadillac. Cadillac at that time in the 80s was the luxury car. I knew I couldn't work on Volkswagens and make that kind of shop hours, turn those kind of shop hours. I had to work on cars that would break down a lot, and they were extremely expensive to fix. Okay? Are you grasping now how I think? Because anybody can be a service advisor, and let's say they have the exact same pay plan, but if you work for Nissan, which they never break down, or Toyota, they never break down, Honda, they never break down, but if you work for Lincoln, Mercury, Ford, they all broke down in 82. And you know I'm not lying. It was the truth. It was during all that emissions bullshit. Excuse me. Well, one day I got a wild hair up my ass because I went out to a bar. And let's just say a place where all the car guys used to hang out. It was the hot spot. So I was there, I'm dressed real well. I got a clean job. I'm making pretty good money. Believe me, I hit all the bonuses all the time. So I was making good money. I was easily making $18 to $20 an hour being a service advisor. So in those days, it was damn good money. I bought my first house. I bought my first car, so I was on top of the world. Then I started talking to one guy who was in sales. And his buddy was in the finance department. And of course, you know what I asked them. How much money do you guys make? I lie to you not. I don't mind asking people, how much money do you make? What does it take to make the money you make? That's pretty much my conversation, because I'm a true capitalist. Okay, well, I found out that commission sales make a whole lot of money, but there are no guarantees. It's all based on you and your personality and your knowledge of being a car salesman, okay? Being good at your game. Well, needless to say, I was a car salesman, a finance manager, and also a sales manager. I did all of that. I was in quality control. I was an advisor. I was also a mechanic. I worked in the body shop. I worked every single department in the entire dealership except parts. I will never work in the parts department. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Now, I'm going to disclose how my best year ever as a car salesman, and this was before the 2009, okay? This is before the full disclosure laws were in effect, is when I worked for Honda Stevenson down in Lumberton, and also too Lafayette Ford in Fayetteville, North Carolina. The biggest check I ever made 1 month was $6,500. $6,500. Now remember, this is in the 90s, early 90s, mid 90s, making $6,500 a month. This is when I had my second wife. I had 2 boats and basically had 2 houses because she worked also. She was a college professor. So we thought we were knocking it dead until we got our check and saw how much we were getting hit in taxes. Oh my God. And plus too, we were trying to save money, a regular savings account, a 401k, health insurance, insurance on the house, all the things, food, travel, gas, everything, vacations, credit cards, living the American dream. Guess what? We were broke. We were in debt and we were broke. All the time. And we were making over $100,000 between the two of us. Over $100,000 between the two of us. And we were broke all the time. Now, I'm about ready to conclude my second beer here. So I think there's going to have to be a part 2 because there's a thing called the 80-20 rule. And I need to really get in depth with that. For every $100 you make, $80 goes to bills and savings, and $20 you pay yourself. So that's owning a business. Now I have a business now. Last almost going on 14 years, 15 years. Mr. Fix-All. I'm an S corporation, and there's a lot to that. Okay, there's a lot to that. I have broken this down many, many, many times on different videos about being a self-proprietor, no employees, working only in the state, in a county, whatever, having an open license, and making 6 figures a year is easy. And the big thing is you pay no taxes, hardly any taxes, okay? That's why I always invest, because you got to spend money to make money, okay? That's going to probably be the second video. You got to spend money to make money. I'll tell you how I get away with so much, but I want to go back to when the last day, of course, the crash happened, '09. The economy tanked. I tried hanging in there with my, my dealership, Leaf Toyota. It wasn't happening. I was going broke, man. Let me just say this. I'm going to end it on this note here. When I left Leaf on November 9th, 2009, I had exactly $2,200 in the bank. That's it. $2,200 in the bank, okay? Now, 14 years, almost 15 years now, I have made over 1.5 million, okay? The big thing is how much I have not paid in taxes. So I know there's so many more parts to this, because I got to be able to teach you about your time, what your time is worth, how to spend money and how not to spend money. You can't use credit cards ever. If you have to put it on credit, that means you can't afford it. If you buy anything and you can't pay cash, you shouldn't buy it. So there is a much broader topic to this, because the real test of time here is assets, liquidity, and your ability to put your hands on so much cash without actually having to borrow it if any troubles come up, or you have, say one of your vehicles goes down and it's out of warranty, and it'll cost you 10 grand. Can you just walk into your bank and just pull out 10 grand with absolutely nothing owed to anyone? And then if something else happened, your air conditioner blows out, can you go and, get 5 grand without owing anybody anything? Or if you want to take a vacation and burn 5 grand, that you wouldn't even blink, okay? This is the point in my life to where I'm at now. Like I've told you before, I don't worry about money anymore. Plus all the investments I've made and the different aspects of how I treat money, because I treat money very, very religiously, as far as the 80-20 rule. And I think, again, that's going to be another video, but I just wanted to share this basic concept with you, is that if you look around you, people who work in the same place, all their pays, depending on what type of work you do, obviously, but if you work in a multifaceted industry, there's going to be all different pay levels. The one thing that you got to concern yourself with is your debt, credit debt, home loan, car loan, credit cards, your entertainment debt, your clothes, your food, your power, your lights, your phone, insurance, all these different things that you have to spend money on, or you should spend money on, or you're living on the down low. You can live. My first house was a trailer. I bought it cheap. I bought it as a repo. So there is, again, a lot of aspects to this particular thought process of mine when it comes to money, is how I can accumulate so much wealth, but I never paid retail for any of it. That's another aspect, is bargain shopping, bargain hunting. I negotiate everything, and I also negotiate money. Remember, time is the only thing I have to sell. Time is the only thing I have to give. So anytime I'm around people, and if it's not for personal reasons, then I'm charging that other person, customer, for my time. And I know exactly how much my time is worth. I know how much I have to charge, and I can blink it. I can just, right off the top of my head, somebody says, how much you charge for that? I don't even have to look at the job. all I have to do is get an idea, and then I can say, yeah, that's going to be $7,000. Knowing your expenses, your cost of doing business, and your profit range and your profit margins, and also your ability to take 20% of the gross, not net. Now there's a difference, 20% of the gross, and stash that away in savings. Every single check. Remember, if I make $100, 20 is going in the bank. Now, there's a thing called the threshold. The threshold is for me to live. My monthly expenses, and this includes the townhome, the farm, all insurances, the 4 vehicles I've got, all the equipment I got, everything, power, lights, internet, phone, just everything you can possibly throw money at. And this includes food, because I've also incorporated food into my debt, okay? My weekly debt. So once I have gotten that to where every month that number doesn't fluctuate very much, and believe me, it doesn't fluctuate very much, within $100. I promise you, because I have everything, I have micromanaged every possible bill that comes into this house. I've renegotiated every single one of those bills to the ultimate bottom line. And it doesn't matter what it is. So I know per month that if I put $2,500 in the bank, then I start at zero. Okay? Did you catch that? I put $2,500 in the bank every single month, and then I start at zero. Now, the second that I make $2,500, and then I put that into the bank, then I go back out and I make $100. How much of that money is mine? Put that in the comments below. I go out, 30-day period of time. I make $2,500. Okay, I sell my time for $2,500. Let's say it takes 9-10 days. Let's just say it takes 9 or 10 days. 1/3 of a month. Okay, 33% of my time in a 30-day period of time to make $2,500. Okay, that goes in the bank. Now I'm at zero. How much time do I have left on a percentage to be able to make money for me and my savings account? Well, it's 33 times 2. Okay, 66% of that month. I've got to divide it also by my time, or multiply it depending on how many hours I have left in that month to be able to make, let's say I want to hit $10,000, okay? So 2,500 minus 10 is what, 75? And I'm going to obviously have to pay taxes. I got to pay my bookkeeper, got to pay a CPA, I got to pay my insurance company for services rendered during that month, which is a small percentage. But the bottom line is after those basic expenses, which, like I said, there's minor, a couple $100 worst case scenario on, the balance of 7,500, then I take 20% of that. Okay, I take 20% of that. It goes directly into savings. I take another 20%, it goes directly into the business account. Okay, because the business has to make money. Okay, so 20 and 20, what does that leave you? It leaves you 60%. Guess where that 60% goes? In investments. For tax purposes. Okay, it gets deep in this particular part of the video, which I'm going to end it right here. Like I said, there's a lot to this. Money is just not something that you go out and say, I'm going to make $15 an hour and then, party like a rock star. It's not going to happen, folks, because you'll be broke, you'll be in debt, and you'll wonder what the hell happened. And you'll be miserable as shit. Remember, money cannot buy you happiness. Okay? It cannot. I've got money and I'm not happy. That's the trap. The more money you make, the more miserable you become. If you don't believe me, ask anybody who has a lot of money, and they'll tell you the same thing. They're not happy about having money. You know what they are unhappy about? Is finding ways of keeping it. Okay, on that note right there, learning how to keep it, not spend it. Another whole topic, okay? For all you party animals and vacation goers and especially you women out there that don't know the value of a dollar. Some of you do, some of you don't. A lot of you don't, because in reality, everything is geared towards making sure the woman wins in a divorce settlement. Hell, if the men would win in a divorce settlement, we'd all want to get married, but we don't because we know we're going to lose. So again, that's another aspect of money, is liability. You got to know where your liability is, and you don't want much of it. And you want to bring your liability down to zero. Okay? I love you guys. Comment on this video. What's your perspective about money and how do you think about it? And that would be a great opening, a conversation starter right there. And God bless you all. Make a shitload of money. And to all the capitalists in the world out there, we bleed green, baby. We bleed green. Okay. Take care. Talk to you in the comments tonight.